Ever find yourself maybe scrolling through cat videos online
Huh?
when you know you should be tackling that big, important task?
Oh, definitely. Or maybe suddenly deciding your sock drawer absolutely needs like an urgent and meticulous reorganization.
Yes. That exact thing, the classic creative avoidance.
It really is. The human brain is, well, pretty amazing at finding alternatives to stuff we don't want to do.
Well, if that sounds familiar to you listening, you are definitely in good company.
Oh, yeah?
You're actually far from alone. Estimates say, what, 20% of adults? And over half of students regularly do this?
It's huge. And here's a wild fact for you. Scientists have even found evidence of this kind of behavior in pigeons.
Pigeons. Seriously.
Yes, pigeons. It points to something pretty fundamental, behaviorally speaking, across lots of species.
Oh, okay.
And for our deep dive today, it's really good to define it clearly first. Procrastination is basically voluntarily, unnecessarily delaying something.
Even though you know it's probably going to cause problems later.
Exactly. Despite knowing there will likely be negative consequences.
So for anyone out there feeling maybe a bit guilty, thinking it's just them being lazy or, I don't know, bad at managing time.
Right. The common beliefs.
Yeah. Does science actually back that up?
Not really, no. Quite the opposite, actually. We're going to try and bust those myths right now.
Good.
Science just doesn't support it being only about poor time management or, simple laziness.
So what's the plan for today then?
Our mission today is really to cut through all that and give you a kind of shortcut to understanding the real psychology behind it.
Okay.
We want to look at what truly causes it, its hidden impacts. Some are pretty surprising, and maybe most importantly, how you can actually stop.
Sounds good. I expect some fascinating insights and maybe some advice I can actually use.
That's the plan. Actionable advice is key.
Okay, so if it's not laziness, not just bad planning,
Yeah,
what is it? You said the real root isn't the clock. It's mood.
that's the big one. Yeah. Professor Fuchsia Siraj, she spent 2 decades, like 20 years, researching this.
Wow.
And she really emphasizes that procrastination is fundamentally about not being able to manage your moods and emotions.
Okay, emotions.
Yeah. Impulsivity and self-control, they definitely play a part, sure. But the core issue, often it's a poor emotional response to whatever the task is.
And this is where the brain science gets really interesting, right? The amygdala.
Exactly. So when we face tasks that feel stressful or unpleasant, our amygdala gets triggered.
That's the brain's sort of emotion and threat center.
Precisely. It signals threats, and it can kick off that fight-or-flight response. And Siraj's research, it found that chronic procrastinators actually tend to have larger gray matter volume in the amygdala.
Whoa, so does that mean they feel threats more easily?
It kind of suggests that, yeah, their emotional threat detector might be working overtime.
Yeah.
More sensitive maybe to potential negative outcomes.
Which then fuels the negative feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes them more likely to just avoid the task altogether. Becomes this feedback loop.
So it's almost like our brain's trying to protect us from feeling bad now, even if it messes things up later.
That's the great way to put it. Short-term relief over long-term goals.
And speaking of how our brains can work against us,
Mm-hmm.
what about this idea of the future self?
Yeah, that's another fascinating piece. Research from UCLA using fMRI scans.
Brain scans.
Right. They indicate that when we imagine our future self, the brain regions that light up, they're the same ones that activate when we think about a complete stranger.
No way, really, like someone I don't even know.
Pretty much. So this psychological distance it creates, it makes it surprisingly easy to leave that huge, horrible task for that person.
For future me, the stranger.
Exactly, for future you.
Yeah.
And you might fall into what some call the superhero fallacy.
Oh, I know this one. Like, oh, future me will be super motivated.
Yes. Or future me will magically have all the ideas. Or future me won't have writer's block.
Guilty. I totally do that. I picture this incredibly productive future version of myself who wakes up at 5 a.m.
Right. But the reality is, we don't change that dramatically in a short time. Future you is probably going to feel pretty similar to present you.
Yeah, probably just as uninspired about that report. It's a tough habit, that thinking.
It really is. And it ties into something called present bias.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically our tendency to be way more motivated by immediate gratification. Getting the good feeling now rather than waiting for a long-term reward.
Which makes putting things off feel good in the moment.
Exactly. You get that immediate emotional payoff by avoiding the unpleasant thing. Instant relief.
Just think about maybe that extra bit of scrolling you did this morning instead of starting work. That's present bias right there.
Absolutely. And we often layer on these cognitive distortions,
Mm.
especially common in students, but we all do it.
Like what?
Oh, overestimating how much time we actually have left,
Yep.
thinking we'll be way more motivated tomorrow or next week,
Definitely done that.
underestimating how long tasks will really take to complete. And that big one, believing you absolutely need to be in the right frame of mind to start.
Ah, the right mood trap. All
Huge
right.
trap. Now, it's really important to clarify something here. Procrastination itself, it's not a mental illness,
Okay, that's important.
but it can be characteristic of certain underlying conditions, like it's often linked with depression.
How so?
Well, with depression, you often have feelings of hopelessness, a real lack of energy, deep self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
All that makes just starting a task incredibly difficult.
Right. So while it's not an illness on its own, it can show up as a symptom in other things, maybe like OCD or ADHD.
Yes, exactly. For people with obsessive-compulsive disorder, it's often tied to what's called maladaptive perfectionism. Things have to be so perfect, it's paralyzing,
Right.
or just indecision.
Makes sense.
And with ADHD, that core difficulty in initiating tasks, especially boring or difficult ones because of distraction, that's a huge factor. Your attention is constantly pulled elsewhere.
So when we find ourselves making excuses, like, I don't really know where to start, or I'm just not feeling it today, or the classic, I work better under pressure.
Uh-huh.
Those aren't really the reasons. They're more like justifications.
Precisely. The rationalizations we use, they cover up what's really going on underneath.
And what is going on underneath? Well, it often has bigger consequences than we think, doesn't it?
It really does.
Because the actual cost of procrastination, it can go way beyond just missing a deadline. You mentioned hidden costs, especially to health.
Yeah, and this is where Professor Siraya's long-term research is pretty eye-opening and honestly a bit concerning.
Okay.
Her findings over decades show that chronic procrastinators, people who do this habitually, they experience significantly higher levels of stress.
I can believe that. The looming deadline stress is real.
It is. And also a greater number of acute health problems. We're talking things like headaches, insomnia, digestive issues, even getting more colds and flu.
Wow. Okay, so it impacts your physical health directly.
Yes. And even more alarmingly, it's identified as a factor linked to things like hypertension and cardiovascular disease.
How does that connection work?
Well, think about it. People don't just put off unpleasant work tasks. They also put off healthy behaviors,
Yeah.
like exercising or scheduling doctor's appointments.
Ah, right. Delaying the good stuff, too.
It becomes a kind of domino effect. And beyond physical health, studies consistently show links to worse academic performance, obviously, but also earning less money over time.
Really? Earning less?
Yeah, and holding jobs that are perceived as having lesser value. It can also feed into lower self-esteem, fewer visits to the dentist,
The dentist, too. Okay, I see a pattern.
and even a lack of what researchers call household safety behaviors,
Like what?
like failing to check your smoke alarms regularly, which sounds small, but considering there are something like, 37,000 house fires a year just in the UK, it's not trivial.
Wow, that stat about house fires is genuinely chilling. And the impact keeps spreading, doesn't it? It affects others, too.
Oh, absolutely. It can place a real burden on your social relationships. Think about friends, family, colleagues. Delays can cause resentment, frustration. People might feel let down.
Yeah, I can see that. Group projects, family plans.
Exactly. And then, of course, the more direct financial stuff. Late fees on bills, penalties on tax returns. The costs really are life-wide.
Okay, so this is clearly a bigger deal than just feeling a bit lazy sometimes. It sounds quite serious.
It can be, especially when it's chronic.
Mm. The good news, psychologists have been looking for solutions, right? Let's talk about the action plan. How do we fight back, scientifically speaking?
Yes, absolutely. There are definitely strategies. We can maybe start with a quick kind of interesting tip.
Okay, lay it on me.
Try downsizing larger units of time. So instead of thinking, oh, the deadline is in 2 days,
Yeah.
think 48 hours. Or instead of 30 years until retirement, maybe think 10,950 days.
Huh. How does that help?
It seems to make these future events feel more immediate, more psychologically close, which can actually prompt people to, get started.
That's a clever little mind trick. Shrinks the distance. But what about tackling the root cause? You said it was about mood and emotions.
Exactly. And for Professor Sarah, based on her work, the two big pathways to really reduce procrastination at its core are boosting self-compassion and using cognitive reframing.
Self-compassion, that sounds nice, but how does it stop me scrolling Instagram?
Huh. Fair
You're
question.
right.
It's actually quite powerful. Sarah points out that procrastinators, especially the chronic ones, are often incredibly hard on themselves.
Before, during, after the guilt cycle.
Totally. Well,
Yeah.
before and after the task. And this internal criticism, it just paralyzes you further, makes you feel worse, makes you want to avoid more.
So instead of beating yourself up, what's the alternative? How do you break that negative loop?
It's about not over-identifying with the frustration. Her advice is basically take a step back, acknowledge you feel bad, dissatisfied, whatever it is, and then just move forward. The core message she emphasizes is recognizing, hey, everybody messes up sometimes. You're not the first person to procrastinate. You won't be the last. Welcome to the human race.
That feels more forgiving.
It is. And her study of, I think it was 750 people, showed a really firm link between procrastinating more and having lower self-compassion. They go hand in hand.
Okay, that connection is clear.
Mm.
But how do we do self-compassion practically in a way that actually helps us, get stuff done?
Well, one really accessible way is through mindfulness.
Meditation type stuff?
Sort of, even really brief exercises. Studies have shown that just like a 3-minute mindfulness exercise.
3 minutes, that's it.
Yep. Often involving just some simple audio instructions, focusing on non-judgmental awareness, paying attention to your body, your breath. That alone can lead to greater self-compassion.
And that helps with procrastination.
And lower procrastination levels, yes. It helps you gain perspective, stops you from spiraling down into those negative thoughts and feelings.
Okay, so it's not about being soft, it's about being more effective by managing the internal static.
Exactly. Well put. The other big approach is that cognitive reframing.
Right. Changing your thinking. How does that work?
This is all about finding or even creating some meaning in the task you're avoiding.
Meaning, even if it's like doing expense reports.
Yeah, maybe even then. There was this really interesting unpublished study by a PhD student, Cece Yang.
Okay.
She had students who tended to procrastinate.
Mm.
One group was asked to reframe the task they were putting off, to think about how finishing it would be valuable to them personally, or maybe how it connects to their larger goals or personal growth.
And the other group?
The other group just did, like happy distractions, tried to
Okay.
cheer themselves up.
What happened?
The students who actively reframed the task to find meaning in it, they procrastinated less afterwards.
Wow. Less than the ones who just tried to distract themselves happily.
Exactly. The insight seems to be when you create meaning, even if you have to dig for it, you create a connection to the task, finding some value in the task. That's really, really powerful.
So it's not just gritting your teeth and doing it, it's connecting to the why. Why does this matter? Even a little bit.
Precisely. It helps dial down those negative emotions, that urge to flee, or at least makes them feel more manageable because there's a purpose attached.
Okay, those are two big, deep strategies. What about more concrete, step-by-step things people can try right now? Give us some practical procrastination exercises.
Okay, sure. Some immediate actions. First, the obvious but crucial one, make a to-do list and put actual due dates on it. Helps make things concrete.
Got it. List with dates.
Second, take baby steps. This is huge. Break those overwhelming tasks down into tiny, manageable pieces.
So instead of write the whole report, it's maybe just write the introduction paragraph. Or even open the document.
Exactly that small sometimes. Just make the first step ridiculously easy. Third, recognize your personal warning signs. That feeling when the urge to procrastinate hits.
Oh, yeah. The sudden urge to check email or make coffee.
Right then. Force yourself, just gently force yourself to spend only a few minutes on the actual task. 5 minutes, even 2 minutes.
That's to start.
Sometimes, honestly, just getting started is half the battle. Breaking that inertia.
That is so true. Once you start, it often gets easier. What else?
Fourth, eliminate distractions.
Oh.
Be honest with yourself. What are your biggest attention black holes? Instagram, news sites, TikTok.
Uh-huh.
Turn them off. Close the tabs. Put the phone in another room if you have to. Create a focused environment.
Okay. Be ruthless with distractions.
And finally, maybe yay. Pat yourself on the back. When you do finish something on time, especially something you were dreading, acknowledge it. Reward yourself in a small, healthy way.
Reinforce the positive behavior. Makes sense.
It really helps build momentum.
And quickly, what about people who don't procrastinate much? What sets them apart? Anything we can learn from their traits?
Well, research suggests they tend to focus more on the task itself, getting it done, rather than worrying excessively about how others might judge them or their performance.
Less performance anxiety, maybe?
Perhaps. And personality-wise, they generally score higher on what psychologists call conscientiousness.
Which
It's a
means,
trait characterized by things like self-discipline, persistence, feeling a sense of personal responsibility. They tend to follow through.
right. Okay, so let's try and recap this deep dive then. Procrastination is super common. We established that. Pigeons do it.
Well, yes, even pigeons.
And it's really not about being lazy or just bad at managing time. Fundamentally, it seems rooted in how we manage our moods, our emotions around a task.
Yeah, and how we think about our future selves, that disconnect.
And the hidden costs are pretty significant, affecting
Well,
our health, our finances, our relationships, even our safety sometimes.
definitely more than just missed deadlines.
But the good news, the really hopeful part, is that there are powerful ways to tackle it, backed by science.
Absolutely. And it's less about just forcing yourself with sheer willpower.
Which often doesn't work anyway.
Right. And more about skillfully managing your internal state, those emotions, and maybe reframing your relationship with the tasks you're avoiding. Self-compassion, finding meaning.
Okay, so a final thought for everyone listening. Now that you understand a bit more about the real psychology behind procrastination, maybe think about one specific task you've been putting off, just one thing. How might reframing its meaning, even slightly, or just offering yourself a little bit more self-compassion about it, how might that be the very first baby step you need? What does future you truly need from present you right now?